Hey everyone, welcome to Cultist Refuge. This is our first video for the guide on how to do these dungeons as a tank. You'll reach the center and you'll find 3 quest givers, and you'll also find a story quest giver. All quests are obtained at 37 or higher. There are 3 pathways: the north, the west, and the east. You must complete the north area to go east. In the north, you'll find all these little gargoyles and this ghost. When in here, for your group, simply taunt and shield wall till they can AoE them down. The big ghost, however, will do things as he pleases, usually running around like an idiot, as you see here. Make sure when you have completed this to touch this eastern wardstone. On the east path you will run into groups with these barrels right here. Use an archer or sorcerer or anyone with a ranged attack to hit the barrels and knock the enemies down as such. I am a tank, so I will be knocked down by these barrels. The enemies are then low and easy for you to kill. I wish to make note that I only just figured this out myself, but if you use your leash move as a tank on the barrels, it will break. Also, in the middle of the room, you will find another group with barrels. Unlike the ones on the sides, these are mystics, and will cast a nasty AoE, and I will show you. As you can see, this AoE you can block easily, even at the level requirement for this dungeon. The only problem is they continually do it and knock you down easily. Progressing further along, you'll find a room with golems and gargoyles. Avoid these golems because they are immovable and will constantly knock down your team. They can also be leashed away. Once you've killed all the imps, or if you prefer to call them gargoyles like I do, I think they look more like gargoyles than imps, move on to this stone golem here and use your leash move to pull it away for your team to bypass. Easy, and it should de-aggro as soon as you get up the stairs. In this room you can bypass every monster, except if you have the side quest objective in here. I will not be covering side quest objectives, I will only be covering the dungeon. Finally you reach the first boss's room. Hit the idolith to enter. This boss is pretty straightforward. He is a tank and spank with a bit of an aggro issue. That big mace he wields will do significant damage to a tank if he does not block. He also has a jet air move that you've just seen, and a power-up that you will easily see when he turns red, or his eyes go red. You can easily block all these abilities and any kind of weapon he's wielding to hit you with. He will eventually do this AoE, which most group members will have to get out, at least all the melee. He will then go into the room and then summon his ally. These are easy imps to kill. Once dead, distribute their loot and move on. Don't forget, in order to progress to the west side, you must hit the western wardstone. This room can be annoying for most groups, as most of these mobs here contain high power and are very resilient. It's best to kill each mob 2 at a time. Once you've killed all the small beings, you have to kill these 3 priests. They can be quite irritating as they constantly run around and kill. So make sure to focus target and get one down at a time. In this room, you'll find a bunch of these casters here. When you initiate combat, a bunch of scorpions will They will give you this debuff which will cause you to move around in an odd pattern. If you move forward, it'll actually move you back. Your controls work in the opposite. It can be easily cleansed by a priest or mystic. This boss, simply talk to the terrified...
Actually, I do come here often.
And she will then grow bigger into your second boss to fight. This boss is a caster. Pretty simple. She does constant forward blast attacks and 2 other AoE spells that you simply can't block. Except for this one, when she blasts down from the air. Other than that, it's an easy tank and spank where she'll run around constantly trying to avoid killing. When dead, collect your loot. There is no pedestal here, the door will open immediately. This is the last boss room in the dungeon, except for the secret boss you get after doing the quest. I wouldn't really call him a secret, he's more of just like an extra loot boss. But this is the last one for the story. This boss can be long and tricky. This is the first time you will see this model, other than in Chibica. You might see one down in the underground mine. With this boss, there are 4 major things you need to be paying attention for. He does a triple attack where he hits 1 tentacle after another, up to 2 tentacles, and then you must continue to block because he will then hit you with some kind of spell. He will also do a heavy slam with his 2 front arms, as well as constantly casting an AoE style blast on the tank target. All melee must move away from that circle area. It doesn't move, so it's easy to avoid, as you see here. Once that's done, he will then constantly use a move where he will try to go over the tank with blades spinning around. It can be easily avoided by most melee, but he will go over the tank, so the tank can block it all. Every so often, and at 50%, the boss will go into a rage mode where he will then do a massive AoE, which most melee must, or all melee must get out of. The tank can block everything as well. Constantly avoid his triple threat attack because it is probably the most common thing to miss, and easily you will get knocked down and constantly insta-gibbed by the boss if you have low gear. It's a highly repetitious fight that will go on for quite a while with people in the 37s to 39s. And there you have it. Enjoy your loot and continue leveling. Once this boss is killed, Elion will appear here and giving you a quest, which you will then have to use a bomb on this pedestal or soulstone right here and to blow it up. Make sure that everyone else has handed in that quest, because the bomb will blow it up only once, and if no one else is on the quest, they will not achieve the quest completion. After the boss is defeated, this door will open. However, if you have already completed the quest and enter the dungeon again for loot purposes or XP, you can touch this Eldritch Seal and eventually break it to open the door ahead of time before fighting the second and last boss. Now this boss, known as the loot boss, is also long, just as the last boss was. He's very AoE oriented and will constantly do cleave-like abilities. Most melee must sit behind him, and all archers and sorcerers sit at max range. He does constant electricity attacks that just cleave out areas. His swords do up to about 10,000 damage on low-geared people. Every once in a while, he will then do a lunge attack. The tank can't block it if he's too close. So move as far away as possible as you can, because he will aim generally at whoever has the most threat. Every 25%, he will summon these ads that you see here. They will do exactly the same thing he does. Constantly cast these AoE blasts on the ground. Your team should be focusing separate ones and knocking them down easily, because they're simply clones and easy to kill, while the tank holds threat. Your best bet to do is to find a good spot where all of them are aimed at you and simply just stand and block all the attacks while waiting for your team to kill the clones. An easy way to avoid this, though, is to keep at the side of the room, out of the center ring, and when the boss runs to the center ring, leash or stun him before he gets there. This will interrupt his ability to summon the ads. As you can see, it is not easy to block that lunge attack. He does a 2-swing. He moves forward and swings once, and then his swords come behind him to swing at your back, usually hitting you and knocking you down. You may be wondering why you can't block it. Well, it's because you're getting hit from the back. Other than that, it is a long fight, which you'll have to go through the 2 or 3 phases, and then eventually get quite a fair amount of loot, which is why he's considered the loot boss. I hope you enjoyed. I'm Falax, and see you guys next time for the next TERA guide.